Hey guys, Bolt here. Normally this would be a Nancy Drew drop, but currently I'm trying to get ready for dinner, and then I also got a possible stream. Probably not, I don't know, because I'm adding some new people I don't quite know from like friend of friends. But anyways, basically I have to go eat dinner, so I have to make like two quick live videos. And this one, like the title suggests, is over Indigo Park. So I don't know. I think it's within this week. Actually, no, it was last week that I started playing Indigo Park. And I think it should be today. Well, I don't know. We'll probably hear this week sometime will be part one and part two of Indigo Park over on Bolt. And while I know it's like, hey, why are we exactly doing multi parts? Well, the thing is because I wanted to investigate that very well and show it off a little bit. I'm playing Dokkan, so my mind's kind of like fizzled. Oh, wait, no, man. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get this in a better scenario. Okay, sorry. I also had to reposition my mic because it was all the way over here. So basically, I get to clean myself with my phone real quick. So Indigo Park, everyone is like in the middle. Like it looks amazing. It looks like it's kind of probably be one of the better, and I agree because here's the thing: we've been bogged down by bullcrap cash grabs like Ban and a few others that are just ripping off of things like Five Nights at Freddy's and Poppy Playtime. That it just feels generic. Like no one really wants to play these things anymore unless that's their channel. But Indigo Park actually looks like it's going to be one of the best ones. Now, I wasn't going to I almost promised myself not to do this, but I need to do this. Theft King is probably the biggest example of who should not be on the internet. And while, yes, it is okay to have an opinion, basically a lot of people who made a review on him already have noticed that he basically says it's a good game and points out what is good, and there are some flaws that people can understand, but the issue that comes with him is that he's just being negative to be negative. There are several points where he's just like, oh, it's not scary, and then he literally got like spooked and all of that. So basically, I'm just gonna go against the points I don't like because he is kind of like he has a lot of the massive opinions that are being mentioned right now. One, it doesn't look that great. Or two, there's a moment when you can see around and look around, and there's supposed to be a generic skybot. I'm sorry, but if you read up on this project, this is made by Unique Geese, the one who made a Ban also reincarnation within like a week, I think he said himself. And basically, he's like, oh, if everyone liked this, maybe I should try my own project. And he paid out of pocket for the first chapter. And this first chapter is his money showing off what he can do. This is not from any other project. This is not from like the community. He did this. And also, a lot of the people that worked on this used it as a passion project rather than a job, because they took a pay cut for this because he wasn't going to be able to afford the people that were on board. So he made I forgot what it's called, but it's basically a GoFundMe or like a, hey, if you like this project, here's the chapter 2, go fund it if you want to see more on it. Which I would suggest people do if you really like horror games, because this is a good direction to go into. But here's the thing versus Ban Ban and Poppy. They didn't have merch right off the rip. There is merch, but you have to be a part of the donation part of things. And yes, they are working on merch, but Finance of Freddy's got merch pretty quickly too. So you can't really say that it's a cash grab. Literally every franchise who has some kind of recognition does have merch pretty quickly. And if they don't make a merch, someone else makes merch. That's just how it is. So they're not a cash grab. They had to pay for their own stuff, and that their merch is kind of like a second thought. So basically, it's like, hey, if you, the fan base, want to see more, here's your opportunity to say, yes, bring me more of it. So it basically, for this game to continue, it's based on the people who are looking into it. This is basically a what is it called? A backers meeting. Basically, like, hey, I'm showing you the product. Do you want to see more of this? Yes or no? Here's the ability to say yes or no. And that's a point that a lot of people kind of just skip. And there's people who even blocked out his note at the end saying, hey, this was built by people who were passionate about this project. We tried our best with what little budget we had, and we are hoping to show you something better if it comes to it in Chapter 2. And of course, since Chapter 1 was free, Chapter 2 is going to be worth some money, but you can't really blame them because you can't just keep making games for free. You know, Scott released a few, hey, buy into them, and then here's a free game. You cannot blame Unique Geese for wanting to fund his project. It's so dumb. So basically just, hey, this has a very small party who had only a year and also the less budgets, so, and a small team. So back off. And also this is better. One of the things that even people who do have some bad takes for the game, they even said something that Theft just purely should not have said, which is like, he likes the environment of Ban Ban better. The literal look of Ban Ban is a lollipops cut into spaces because it's so damn glossy. Like, it is, like, he's over here saying that there's no love put into the environment when there is, but then you see Ban Ban, and it doesn't even look like a wall. It looks like someone put a piece of candy and covered it. It, like, nothing against the Euphoric Brothers, because it does take time and effort to do a game in the first place, but like, this person put like heart and soul into it, and you're gonna like put it down for the fact that it's just not as simplified and it's just kind of all over the place. And then one developer said that like, hey, there is a little too many objects of the same type. Maybe try to do more things. Again, this was a small project, didn't have enough people, and they had a limited budget. You can't really blame them for using assets. Not to mention, if you're in a theme park, things like garbage cans, trash are going to be very similar because it's only going to be what's inside the theme park. Like, you're not going to find some random tin can that isn't like their brand, and also you're not going to find some random cup from Mickey D's sitting around. You're going to see cups and food items from the park. So there's that. The skybox, I'll just say, you're not supposed to be looking out into the sky. Like, you're supposed to see the Ferris wheel, you're supposed to see the clock, but you're really supposed to be paying attention to the theme parks, like, buildings. And there are a few things, like, one person, I'm trying to remember who said it, but they said, there was a bunch of rubble that just appeared, and it was like, where did it come from? And it's just, oh, we needed to make, Uniki said they just made rubble to make it a block off path, which, understandable, but it's kind of just like, I do understand that, well, like, if you're trying to do some storytelling and you're saying that everything's falling apart, you should probably go back when, like he said, he's got a budget now. They made their chapter 2 goal, so chapter 2 is coming out, but they're gonna go back with some of the budget to make chapter 1 better. And I would say cleaning up the rubble or giving a reason for the rubble, give it more environment storytelling. And then another thing that I mentioned during my gameplay is that even with the rubble, there were random, like, invisible walls, which does take you out of the experience when you're just trying to take in the environment. Again, another thing that I will say the environment lacks is the storytelling aspect of it. So yes, hey, this is an abandoned theme park. Things are growing up. This is supposed to be just a normal theme park, so the theme is on part. The characters are understandable, but the issue is you're supposed to be giving a reason that there's like some background scenario of why they shut down the park, and it's like, where's the reason at? Cause like the rubble shows that something, like, it's in disrepair. It's been, I think they said, someone did math and said it was like 6 to 8 years. I forgot how many days, but it was it was in the thousands. But basically it's just like, yes, disrepair, understandable, but you're supposed to be telling me that something went down to scare off the customers and some of the employees, well, all the employees. Maybe show, like, hey, this is a hint to, unless there is something there and just no one's noticed it yet, that's understandable. But my brain is hurting. Trying to think what it is. Like, the only thing that I can probably pull from it is the skunk. Salem the skunk. She, or I think they put him as a they. They are, she, they, I think is the pronouns. But he says that it's mostly her, she. So she is supposedly kind of like something happened. That is the one part of the game that has amazing storytelling of environment elements. The fact that it's just like, okay, you're along this park, this ride, telling different characters and their environments and kind of giving what relationships and personalities they have. And then you get to Salem and it's just completely disarray. Something happened because there's blood. Something happened in the back. You can see that maybe they were using 3D models before instead of the cardboard cutouts. But Salem is like, so out of all of them, why is this the most destroyed? Why is her cutout all broken up? Why is there blood? Why is this back area like completely the way it is? And I think it's just we'll get to the summary, but Salem, I think, has a huge part to play in the story later on. And then let's see. The biggest thing I will say, and I do understand this with other people, is the you want Rambly to be the person to set up, to show off, and that's understandable. But he kind of takes over too much. And yes, he's supposed to be your tour guide, but like you say, hey, go investigate the park, but within like a few minutes, he's right in front of you again, saying, hey, go here. I'd give the people a little time before he pops up and says, hey, come over here. Or a thing that he did watch when he was playing, I think Fusion Z, was that he gave them the option to leave, and he's wanting the player to listen to Rambly, or like, hey, there's something Rambly's gonna tell you. Like for example, at the very end, you're supposed to be like locked in, or you're supposed to be like going down to exit this area, but it lets you leave, and like the timing in his conversation with Rambly there makes you want to like think he's finishing so you can leave, and that doesn't come, and that makes it very confusing. It also feels like you're wasting the player's time. I would shorten some of the conversation bits and kind of like tighten his conversation up a little bit. What other things can I really point to? Whenever the landing pad, I think it is in disrepair, he calls for a repair. That feels a little long. So basically, I think like Rambly is good, but some of his points are a little too long, or like you lose your the attention. So I think it's just like Rambly tighten up a little bit. The spaces for right now are okay, but I would suggest giving more storytelling, or like giving reason for. Definitely, I would suggest the Lloyd section is probably the most needy for stuff like. I think for me as a horror fan, I will call. What's her name? Molly McCaw. She's probably the best part of this entire game, aside from Rambly, because it's like, hey, this person is kind of surveying the player, and then when it feels like it's a mimic from Carne, like the Living Meat series, where it's like the mimic will watch you, figure out when it's best to attack you, and that's what Molly gives you, is that she's like, you're on a ride, which means you're pretty protected right now. So whenever she finds you in a place where there's all these, like, it's like there's so many twists and turns, she can cut you off, and she's a part of the place, so she knows her way around it. That's when she attacks you, when you're backed around into a corner, basically. But Lloyd is probably the biggest thing that I would like to point out. Like his model, it just looks like a line, which I know you're supposed to be giving out that he's like a true beast there, but like Molly McCaw is supposed to be on the same danger level as him, is what you're trying to set. It looks like you're trying to set up, but he doesn't have any of his clothing or any of his he doesn't look like Lloyd. the cutout versus this living lion. And then the like him grabbing you scene needs to be a little better, but like I said, that's something that with the new budget that might be better. But like maybe heighten the sound of the bracelet, because I barely got to hear it and I had my volume pretty high up. So basically, from what I'm like just saying to kind of get the review over is just for chapter 2, and if you're gonna redo chapter 1, fix up some assets, basically make it to where there's reasoning for it, or show what part of disrepair is making rubble. Maybe don't do the rubble like when you enter one of the areas, rubble falls up behind you. I would rather if you made that like a gate that locks behind you, or like something that basically is saying like, hey, this thing just because of the disrepair doesn't want to work anymore, but just random rubble falling out of nowhere just because you walked through an area doesn't feel right, unless you're telling me Molly was in there and she basically broke something. That's another thing I'll say about the storytelling items is there are a lot of dead bird or broken up birds, which does make you foreshadow the idea of the death of Molly at the end of the chapter. So basically, assets, rubble, give a reason, show where they're coming from, limit your invisible walls, because that does take you out of the experience. I would give that little town area, the square, a little bit more color, because the buildings do look very generic. So maybe put a few more posters and like maybe like a banner on some of them, like advertisements. Put advertisements on the top of the building for them. Like, hey, you can get a cup here, or hey, there's discount over here on these days. That right there would probably make the square a little bit better. Lloyd, make his model better, because it just doesn't look like it's supposed to be Lloyd. It just looks like some generic lion. If you can get to the animation for the end of it, just make it to where the bracelet is very like, hey, this is helping you right now. Fix the avatar's hands, because very muscular and veiny. And also like it looks like you're twisting your wrist whenever you first get the bracelet. So maybe do a little bit better on that. I'd say don't do another chase sequence until like the 3rd chapter, because that's what Poppy gets flamed for right now. Is just every chapter has one chase sequence. Like I think there was talks, like people will talk to him, and he said that there might be a lion, a Lloyd chase where he jumps and you're supposed to use the bracelet. I would make that more of a boss, more than a chase sequence. Like, give an area you're locked into, but hey, Rambly can open a door if you're basically do a security breach where like, hey, Freddy can come help you, but you need to disperse the enemy for this amount of time. That is something that would make that kind of better, instead of you running through a corridor with Lloyd on your ankles and you're using a new thing. So basically I would make that kind of section a boss battle. So basically I would do like, I'm trying to think. I think he said 5 chapters. So it looks like you're trying to introduce every monster and have a boss battle. Next time is supposed to be Oh, what's our sea monster boy called? Oh God. God, I'm sorry, but basically, I think it should just be like, um, the player can learn, like Arkham, Batman Arkham series. There are some events where you can't defeat the enemy in any way, but if you learn their patterns, you can like avoid them. That's what I would say with something like the sea monster, where it's just like, hey, here's what attracts him, or here's where he attacks, and you have to kind of like learn as the player. Don't dumb it down and have Rambly explain it. Have a small learning curve there, where it's just like, hey, Rambly explained everything last chapter. We introduced the environment, the characters. Now it's time for you to learn, as a human being, to learn how to survive. Now that you're in a survival of the fittest scenario. Anyways, moving on. The quick summary is basically you're a kid who, well, you're a teenager slash young adult who, when he was a kid, was taken there by your parents. And basically, Molly is your mom's favorite. Lloyd and Ramley are some of your favorite characters. And basically, something happened, and it looks like maybe a boy had been injured or died, and this like decreased the amount of people wanting to go. So the fact that the mascots and all that are as bad as they are, it makes you think that maybe there was a ride accident where one of the mascots did something so violent. So that's kind of all we know right now, because the only thing we can theorize about is that it looks like Salem is kind of like the good guy that's trying to stop these other mascots, or is the one who turned all the mascots evil, based on what we've seen in the 8-bit video game, where she would like throw a potion and turn squirrels and Molly evil in that game. We also might be dealing with duplicates, because in the 8-bit minigame there's a secret where you find Molly in a cage. It's very possible that we're dealing with a newly introduced mascot to make something happen. Because if that 8-bit minigame is just telling you something, maybe, hey, the actual mascot that was meant to be displayed to people was locked away, and this new Molly took its place to get rid of the guests and employees. And then there's also the huge opportunity that AI Rambly over here is trying to take over. And he asks you for basically admin access to the park. So it's very possible that he can be doing something nefarious there. Like, hey, if you human help me, I can repair it, but at what cost? But that's really it. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.